Welcome to Luminary Lore Circle. Today, I'll share with you the messy tale of how my boyfriend kicked me out for another girl. Hello, people have read it. Today, I'll share with you how my boyfriend just kicked me out of his place for some other girl. All of this happened when I asked him to open our relationship. My story is kind of messy, but it's the same for all the people in their 20s. I'm putting it out here so you all know that you are not alone. Everyone is having a messy life. Female, 22, was in a relationship with my boyfriend 22 years, let's call him Ray. We were dating for more than a year. We both graduated from college this year. I met my boyfriend in the first year. We both were freshers and had the same courses. We met at the freshers party and instantly became friends. We made other friends as well, but we were really close. We used to hang out a lot, just the two of us. We used to go to our classes together and would hang out together for long hours after classes, then go back to the dorm. We both were single at that time. One day I told Ray that I want to have fun in university. That day we helped each other make profiles in dating apps like Bumble and Hinge. Everyone in the university was using these for casual hookups, and we thought we'll give it a shot too. After that, we both started casually hooking up with our match on these apps. It was going well. We both were good friends, so we used to share with each other how things were going with our dates. I was happy because I didn't want to get in a relationship or anything serious at that point of time. Few days passed like this. My roommate had recently started dating and would tell me things about her boyfriend. They were adorable together. It started to make me feel jealous because even though I had lots of options on the dating apps, I didn't have someone in my life to do all the boyfriendy stuff with. I used to just meet my dates at the university. We would hook up after a bit of small conversation, and then we would go our way. After a while, it started feeling lonely too. The hookups were getting boring. I wanted the relationship stuff as well. I saw my friends spending the nights with their boyfriends and doing all the couple things together. It made me want all that too. One day, Ray and I went to a bar near our college and got really, really drunk. I don't remember much, but I remember that we kissed and I spent the night with him. I didn't want things to be awkward, so I started avoiding him. After that day, I avoided him for a week. But then he finally met me after class and asked me what was going on. I told him that I didn't want things to get awkward between us. He then told me that ignoring him was stupid. We went for a coffee in the campus cafe where we talked about our relationship. He said he felt the hookups were getting boring too. By the end of our discussion, he confessed that he really liked that night, and if I felt the same way, then we should give things between us a shot. I had enjoyed that night between us as well, but I didn't want to risk our friendships. I didn't have many friends in college anyways. I told him to give me some time to think about it. I kept thinking about what Ray had said to me. I realized that our friendship was never going to be the same after that night, and I really enjoyed that night. Considering everything, it was fair to give things between us a fair chance. I called him up a few days later and told him that I was ready to try out something between us. He was happy with that. We weren't ready for a serious, committed relationship at that point, so we decided that we'll be just friends with benefits. And we used to still see other people occasionally, but then would tell each other about it. We were honest to each other about everything from the beginning. It was good to have some physical and emotional connection with the same person. I got to experience something apart from the sexual thing. I could talk to him normally. We would tell each other how our day went. It was really comforting. It also helped that we have been friends from the start of college. Everything was going really well. Our friends with benefits thing was going really well. Sometimes he would do really sweet things for me, like getting me flowers or stuff like that. We used to spend a lot of time together, and I started liking him. One day we were having dinner. He then told me that he really liked to hang out with me and liked me. It made me happy because I felt the same way about him. He said that we should get exclusive. I immediately agreed, as by that time I had developed a huge crush on him, and that's how we started dating each other. I was happy to finally get that emotional and physical connection with the same guy. He seemed happy too. I finally got the hype of all the couple things people used to talk about. One day we went on a painting date as our first date. Everything was going well between us. I was happy and content with him. I never had a proper relationship before. Him experiencing everything that came with the relationship was a fun experience. However, even though I had thought that I was finally ready for the relationship and moved on from the hookup stuff, I realized that I wasn't really ready for it. Whenever my boyfriend would be busy, I felt like texting guys on the app to go out with them. Being with the same guy was good in the beginning, but it was starting to get boring too. I started missing the thrill of seeing a new guy having new conversations. I shared this with one of my friends. She told me that it was normal to feel this. She told me that I've been so used to the hookup culture that anything after that was supposed to feel boring. She told me that good relationships feel boring sometimes, but they also give stability. Although I knew that she was saying the right thing, I was still confused about whether I should talk to my boyfriend about it or not. He was my friend first, and then boyfriend. I thought that maybe he'll actually listen and we could figure something out. My boyfriend was going to visit his family for the weekend. Since my home was far away, I was staying on campus. I was really bored and didn't have anything to do. I opened Bumble and was just scrolling through for fun. I told myself that I wasn't going to act on it or go and hook up with anyone. Just as I was going to close the app, I got a notification. It was a text from a guy I had matched earlier but never met. I checked his profile, and he was really cute. He asked me if I was free to meet him for a coffee in the evening. I thought about it and then decided to go for it. I had nothing to do anyways and thought that what's the worst could happen. I thought that I wasn't doing anything wrong. There was nothing wrong in going for a coffee with a guy. I was sure that we would just have coffee and I would come back. I thought. I thought that I will explain this to my boyfriend later. However, when I went for coffee, the guy I met was really cute. He flirted with me throughout our time together. I laughed so much in such a short span of time. I couldn't just come back after having the coffee. We were walking when I kissed him and he kissed me back. He then dropped me to my dorm. I thought that I will tell everything to my boyfriend when he comes back. I thought that as my friend, he'll understand my situation and will help me in figuring stuff out. We weren't in a very serious, committed type relationship, so there was no reason for him to feel bad or anything. I was wrong though, because when my boyfriend came back, he told me how he had told his friends back home about me. How they were so excited for him and would love to meet me. I got the feeling that he was serious about this. He told me one more thing. He told me how one of his friends dumped his girlfriend after she kissed another guy. I listened intently as he told me that they were friends before, and then started dating, and when she kissed another, he dumped her without wasting a second and stopped talking to her. Their story was so similar to what was happening with us that it was insane. I asked him what he felt about his friend's decision, and he said that he completely supported it and had told his friend that he was doing the right thing. This was the opposite of what I had thought. I had thought that we would have a civil conversation and would figure something out about our relationship if he was this way about his friend's relationship. He would have surely removed me from his life if I told him about what had happened. I realized that it's better to not tell him what had happened when he was not here. I didn't want to lose him as a friend. I also didn't want to break up with him because I wasn't sure how he would take it. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to break up with him or not. Things were good between us. I thought breaking up just because I got bored isn't a good reason, and I should give things time. Things went like this for a while. I was giving myself time to see what I really wanted. I didn't want to make rash decisions and hurt him. After some time, I realized that I wanted him, but I didn't want to get locked down, and I wanted to keep exploring things on the side. I wasn't sure how my boyfriend would take this information, so I decided not to say anything to him. I thought maybe I was just confused about everything. I went on a few dates with guys. Maybe I will figure out what I actually wanted. Whenever my boyfriend used to go out of campus, I would open some dating apps, mainly Bumble or Hinge, and then would go with guys for a casual hookup. I was enjoying this and kept doing this for a while. One day, all of it went wrong. It was a Friday. My boyfriend and I got into a very big fight. He wanted me to go to his home with him to meet his family and friends. I thought it was too soon. I wanted to tell him that I wasn't so serious about him, but didn't say that. Instead, we got into a huge fight. I went to my dorm and started scrolling on Bumble. I matched with a guy, and we were going to meet on that night itself. Ray messaged me later that he's going home alone and will see me later. I thought of sorting things out with him, but decided to wait till he comes back. That evening, I was waiting at the coffee shop for that guy to show up. I waited for a good 15 minutes, but no one came. I texted him if he was coming or not, and that I'm waiting for him. Just as I hit send, my boyfriend entered the coffee shop. I was shocked to see him here. He was so angry that he came to my chair and started asking me why I was cheating on him in a harsh tone. I didn't know what to say, so I just kept looking at him. I told him that it wasn't what he was thinking. He raised his eyebrows like he knew I was lying. The guy I was supposed to meet that night entered the cafe. My boyfriend then told me that they were friends. His friend had told him about the girl he was meeting for hookup, and then he showed my boyfriend my picture on Bumble. I knew that I couldn't lie my way out of it now, so I didn't even try to lie to him anymore. I just listened to him as he told me. He was so disappointed in me. He told me that he didn't think that I was a cheater. All the students around us started to stare at us. He then told me that he was ending things with me in front of the entire cafe. I was really upset and embarrassed. I just came back to my dorm from there. I cried a lot that night because I didn't mean to lose my friend in all this chaos. I thought that everything around me was getting too heavy and to take a break from everything. I decided that it would be best for me if I stopped dating for a while. I even decided to deactivate my account from Bumble and Hinga. These apps were doing me no good. I missed Ray. He was not only my boyfriend but my best friend as well. I used to drop him texts telling him how sorry I was for the way things ended between us. I had hoped that he would finally forgive me and everything would get back to normal. The distance between us hurted me a lot. Earlier, he would wait for me after class, but now he was totally avoiding me. I tried to talk to him, but he would ignore me. He started sitting with his other friends, and I was left alone. But finally one day, when we bumped into each other at a common friend's party, I already had way too many tequila shots. By then I was too drunk, and I guessed that he was high too. I went and hugged at him, and he hugged me back. I told him that I missed him. He looked at me and told me that he missed me too. Maybe it was just because we both were high. We kissed that night. I spent that night with him again. The next morning when I woke up, I realized that I was in his place. I panicked and didn't know what to do. The bed was already empty. I went downstairs to find him in the kitchen. He was making coffee for both of us. I did what my instincts told me to do. I went and hugged him. He got tense for a while but then quickly recovered as well and hugged me back. We then had coffee in silence. I told him how sorry I was for everything that had happened and that I really missed him. He listened to me silently and then told me that he missed me too. He then asked me why I was cheating on him. He said he really wanted to know what made me do something like that. He said he needed to know the complete reason behind it to let it actually go. He deserved to know the truth. So I decided to tell him from the beginning. I told him that I was confused and wasn't ready to get locked in a relationship. I told him that I wasn't a committed person, but I really liked him and that's why I didn't want to end things with him either. He listened to everything I said with a neutral face. I didn't know what was going on in his mind and finally gathered to ask him what he was thinking. He told me that he was thinking about what to do with us. He then said that we can try to be friends. That was enough for me. I wanted him in my life. If he was just willing to be friends, that was fine with me. I couldn't expect him to just forget everything and then get back with me like nothing happened. We started being friends again. After a while, he asked me if I was still on those dating apps. I told him no. He asked me why. I told him I needed a break from everything. After he ended things with me, we kept hanging out with each other, but it wasn't just that. We would also kiss each other or make out sometimes. We didn't specifically discuss what was going on, but it was going well. After a few weeks, he told me that he had forgiven me for going behind my back. He then asked me if I wanted to give between us a shot again. We could. I told him that I did want that, and we started dating again. If you think this is messy, wait for what comes next. So we started dating again. I moved into his apartment. Everything was going well, but some days would be really difficult. I felt like I was getting trapped. I missed hanging out with other guys. But this time I didn't do anything stupid because I didn't want to ruin my relationship with my boyfriend. I noticed after a few days that my boyfriend was getting a lot of texts when we were together. His phone used to go off continuously with notifications. I asked him who was texting him, and he said that it was no one important. I didn't pay much attention to it, but when it happened again and again, I told him to be honest with me. He then confessed to me that it was a girl. He told me that after he ended things between us, he started hooking up with a girl. It was casual from his side, but she started liking him. Then when we got back together, he ended things with her. She was still persistent to continue things with him, and that's why it keeps texting him. This was new information for me. I asked him if he liked her. He didn't deny it. He just said that I really like you. He looked confused and said that maybe he's just infatuated with her. I took some time to process it. I wasn't really hurt or upset after what he told me. Instead, I came up with an idea. I told him that he doesn't have to choose between me or her. There's another way to figure this out. He looked at me with hope, and then I asked him if we should open our relationship. He didn't understand at first. But then I explained it to him. I told him that we still get to be together, and at the same time we get the freedom to explore other things on the side as well. This way we could have everything without choosing. He said he needed some time to think through it. I said sure. After a few days, he told me that although he is not very sure, it couldn't hurt to try this. I agreed with him. We also decided that if we like this isn't working for us, we'll end this open relationship thing and just be exclusive together. He met that girl again while I downloaded Bumble and Hinge again. I was so excited to experience this again. I had only seen these people doing open relationships in TV shows or in books. I went on Bumble dates again. They weren't meant for anything serious, just casual hookups and fun. It was going well. My relationship with my boyfriend was also not suffering this time. We were honest to each other about what happened in our days, but we decided that we should not tell each other what we were doing outside our relationship with each other. It would do no good to know all that stuff. I shared this with my friends, and while some were happy for me, some were downright critical. They told me that nothing will work like this, and what we were doing was crazy. I told them that we were just in our early 20s. This was our time to have fun. We have our whole life in front of us. This seemed to shut them up. My boyfriend told me, although he wasn't sure at the start, this was working quite well in our favor. I agreed with him. Since we opened our relationship, we started to have less fights. We came back to each other with happy faces. It was working out well for us. It might sound complicated and messy if you're listening to this term for the first time, but it was just a way for us to find out what we actually wanted. Me and my boyfriend discussed how it was stupid to come into a committed relationship at such an early age. Opening our relationship has helped us to explore other things like physical intimacy and other things. I was really happy till I started noticing that my boyfriend started staying out for a really long time. He would come back home really late. Sometimes he would come long after dinner had turned cold. I didn't ask him where he was because we both knew where he was. I just thought that he was having his fun, so I let him have it. But then it started getting too much on a weekend. He told me that he was going out of town for the weekend. I couldn't help it and asked him who he was going with. He gave me a look like, don't be stupid. He was going with some girl. It didn't sit well with me, but I didn't dwell on it. I spent the weekend with a guy as well. When my boyfriend came back from the weekend, he was very happy, like he had won some lottery or some. I couldn't control myself and asked him what's going on. He seemed confused and told me that nothing was going on and everything was fine. I didn't believe him for a second. I knew something was up. I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't share this with my friends either. They had already warned me that stuff like this wasn't going to work out. One day while me and my boyfriend were having dinner, I asked him in a casual tone if he's someone special. He tensed up but then said he didn't know what I'm talking about. I asked him again and told him to tell me the truth, as we should be completely honest with each other. He hesitated for a bit, but then told me that he was seeing this girl more often. He said it was casual only, but instead of going through hookups with different people, he met her often and that was it. His explanation sufficed. He was being honest with me and told me everything that was going on. I thought I didn't need to worry anymore. We were on a good track only. We then had dinner together and went to sleep. Our exams were coming soon, so we both were busy studying for our exams. This was our final SEM. We didn't know what we were going to do after college, nor did we get the time to discuss it. I used to study mostly in university itself, whereas my boyfriend used to study at home. We used to spend less time with each other. Now I was seeing other guys from the campus, and I didn't know what he was up to. I thought he was seeing that girl he mentioned in the dinner, only I didn't think much about it. Then one day my boyfriend texted me and told me that he had something important to share with me. I went home to find him sitting on the couch. I asked him what was going on. He asked me if I remembered the girl he had mentioned that day. I told him that I remember her. He nodded and then told me that he likes her now and she feels the same way about him. I didn't understand where he was trying to get with all this. He said he just wanted me to know that I said it's okay and there was no rule that we could only like one person at a time. That seemed to relax him a bit. He told me that he was really happy that I was so understanding. Few days went like this. Everything was going normal. My boyfriend didn't spend much time with me, but that was fine with me because I didn't have much time either. I was so busy between exams and everything that I would get home really late and then I would immediately go to sleep. It was only after quite a few days when I realized that my boyfriend wasn't coming at all. I asked him if everything was okay. He told me that everything was fine and not to worry. I was relieved then. I was seeing this new dude from college at that point. He knew that I was in an open relationship and was fine with it. I hung out in his place and didn't come back to my home for a weekend. When I finally got back to my home, I realized that all my stuff was gone. The apartment had none of my stuff in it. I was so shocked. I thought we had a robbery, but it sounded stupid even to me because it was like someone specifically picked out my stuff. I called up my boyfriend but couldn't get through. I waited for him to come back to the apartment. He finally came back home after 2 to 3 hours. I asked him what was wrong. Where did all my stuff go? He seemed really different that day. The way he walked in his posture, everything was different. He finally said that he had to move all my stuff back to my dorm. I was shocked when he told me this. I asked him why he did that. He told me that his other girl was shifting here and I had to go back to the dorm. I didn't understand what he was saying. You're kicking me out for someone else? I asked him straight away. He immediately got tense and said that I was taking things in the wrong way. He told me that her landlord was kicking her out because she didn't have the money and she had nowhere else to go. He told me that he had talked on campus and since my dorm room was still empty, there was no problem with me moving back in the dorm. I told him that he could have at least discussed it with me before deciding everything on his own. He hugged me and then said that he would have discussed it with me, but I didn't pick up my phone when he called in the morning, so he had no clue where I was. He already called his friend's truck to move stuff. Also, that girl had to vacate her apartment by today itself. I told him that he doesn't understand how embarrassing it was going to be for me by going back to the dorm like this. He then got angry and told me it wasn't going to be much more than it was for him after I cheated on him. That shut me up. I then thought there wasn't much point in fighting anyways, because what's done is already done. I then went back to campus, to my dorm. It felt odd being there, but it was all right. In any case, I had to study for my exams and stuff, so it was better that I got to be on campus. My conversation with my boyfriends got less and less day by day. Whenever I would talk to him, he would talk to me for a bit and then would tell me that something had come up so he had to go. After some time, he stopped texting me as well. When I used to text him, I would get responses so late that sometimes days would pass, but I still wouldn't get a response from him. It started to eat me up. I felt like he was hiding something from me. I decided to confront him about his behavior. He didn't come to campus anymore. Almost all our classes were over and everyone was preparing for the final examination. One day, I was with a guy. He asked me if I had broken up with my boyfriend. I looked at him with confusion. I had already told him that we were in an open relationship. He said that he was asking because he saw my boyfriend in a restaurant with a girl. I shrugged and told him that he saw other girls too. He said that they looked really cozy together and that's why he was asking. What he said felt off with me. I had enough of this drama. I was going to confront my boyfriend and tell him that we should stop this open relationship nonsense only if I knew that I was a bit too late in saying this to him. I went to his apartment to talk to him that evening. He opened the door with a smile on his face, but it immediately got erased as soon as he saw me. It was like he was expecting someone else. I went inside the apartment and was instantly shocked. It had been only a few days since I was coming back to this place, but the apartment was completely changed. It felt like someone had completely erased traces of me from here. I told my boyfriend that I needed to talk to him. He told me to sit on the couch while he went to get water for us. I was starting to feel like a guest, which used to be mine. A few days back he came and sat down on the couch against me. He always used to sit beside me and not against me. I found it odd, but I had bigger concerns to talk about. I asked him why he was avoiding me for the last few days. He said that he wasn't ignoring me, he was just occupied with work and didn't get the time to talk to me. I asked him how his girl was. He said she was good. I asked him if he still liked her, and he nodded yet. I then asked him if he liked her more than me. He was quiet for a bit, and that silence ate me up. I didn't wait any further for his response and told him that we should end this open relationship drama. He seemed confused by my statement. I said we've both done enough exploring throughout our college and now it was time that we stopped it and just be with each other. He was listening to me but was not replying, so I continued telling how important he was to me and we could be really together if we ended all that nonsense. I told him that we don't need to have everything if we had each other. He finally started speaking. He told me how he wished initially, when we started this open relationship thing, that I would come to him and tell him this exact thing that I spoke about now. He said that he would keep waiting for me to come and tell him that I really wanted him and no one else. I kept listening to him. This was the first time we were having this conversation. I asked him why he didn't tell me this before. He said he wanted me to feel that way on my own. He didn't want to ask me to end whatever I had going on with other guys. He wanted me to end that myself. I was shocked at his words, but then I told him that it was okay. Maybe I understood it late, but I understood it now and was ready to end everything with everyone else. I told him that it will be just us in our relationship and no one else. He then told me that it was too late for that as he was already in love with someone else now. I was shocked at his statement. In our entire time together, we had never told each other that we loved each other, but he was saying this to me for someone else now. I told him that it's not possible. I was still his girlfriend. He said it doesn't matter anymore because I sent him to another girl's arms myself. He then started telling me how he realized the importance of a relationship by being with someone else. He said that she gave him all the things that I could never give him. Relationships aren't just physical intimacy, it's much more than that. He told me. He went on telling me how in a real relationship, people don't go to other people's beds. I told him that he cannot blame everything on me. He agreed for an open relationship as well. He said he did agree to it, but he had no other option. I had already cheated on him once, and there was no guarantee that I wouldn't have done it again. I told him that I wouldn't have cheated on him again. I only did the open relationship because he agreed to it. He laughed and then said I wasn't being honest to him. He said that I was so addicted to hookup culture that I couldn't live without it anymore. I was shocked at his words. He kept telling me how a girl like me couldn't be someone's girlfriend ever. I left his house after he ended things with me. He said that his girlfriend was about to get back home, and he didn't want to ruin her mood by me being there. I left his house after getting hurt a lot. I had never seen him after that day, nor did I wish to see him again. We passed each other during our examinations, but it was last semester. Thank God for that. I never had to see him again. This was my messy, complicated story. I know you all must be thinking that it was so messy. Trust me, I know that I have taken a break for good from any sort of relationship. No dating, no situationship, no friends with benefits. I'm done with everything for good now. Thank you for reading my story till here. Update to all the guys in the comment telling that my ex did a good thing by ending things with me. I want you to know that I do read these comments and it hurts me. I'm an actual human being with emotions. I never claim to be perfect or that I'm a green flag. I never claim to be any of those things. I just shared my story with you all with complete honesty. I could have hidden my mistakes when I shared it or could have not shared at all. Instead, I shared it here so that you all know that life sometimes gets messy and it's okay. Also, I would just like to add that I was only 20 when all this began, so I know I did make mistakes, but I was young and had no idea. If you enjoyed this story or found it relatable, please like, comment, and subscribe to Luminary Lore Circle for more emotional tales. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you